Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for calling in to our Tri-State Connect. We have the pleasure of having with us today Joan Apter. She's an aromacologist, and she'll be sharing with her experience in the area of use and applications of essential oils. Before we get started, I'd just like to ask all of those that are on the call to mute their phone during her presentation, and then afterwards we're going to have a Q&A session the last 15 minutes. And to just review what we're here to do is we want to talk about quickly our threefold mission for Scleroderma Tri-State in the area of education and research. First, to provide education and emotional support to people with scleroderma and their families, to stimulate and support research designed to identify the cause and cure of scleroderma, as well as improve methods of treatment, and last, to enhance public awareness of this disease. So we'd like to welcome Joan today. She comes with 24 years of experience and training in the use and application of essential oils. She has advanced training in the medicinal applications of essential oils from Ege University in Turkey, and holds an international certificate of study from the Pacific Institute of Aromatherapy. She offers essential oil approaches to wellness, young living essential oil products, consultations, and classes throughout the tri-state area, and Joan lives in Woodstock, New York. Welcome, Joan.
Thank you very much, Mary Beth. Great to be here. So, it's now my turn?
Yes, go right ahead, Jan. Go right ahead.
All right. Well, as Jan mentioned, there's noise here, but oh well. As Jan mentioned, I'm called an aromacologist, and you might wonder what that is. That's just someone who has studied the use and application of essential oils. And today we're going to be talking about essential oil applications towards some of the discomforts, the symptoms, and the systems that are affected by scleroderma and like conditions. And they can be grouped in certain categories. I had a great talk with Jan, and she really asked me to focus on the Renault type symptoms, the circulation type, especially in the extremities, challenges, definitely connective tissue issues, pain issues, GI, gastrointestinal issues, and oils for meditating or just elevating our, as we say, electromagnetic frequency. So I'm going to do my level best to, in a half an hour, address these points, because it's so important to know that you have another possibility for a non-invasive, natural plant medicine application for all of the above. Essential oils have been around since pre-Egyptian days. Over 5,000 years ago, people were using aromatic plants. And we think that it was the Egyptians who first discovered how to extract the essential oil, otherwise known as the life force of the plant. That's what is the immune defense of the plant. That's like our blood circulating throughout the plant. It's what it uses to defend itself against enemies. It is what is used to heal the plant if there's any tear or wound. Just like our blood is the first thing that cleans the wound. Our blood is what circulates nutrition throughout the body. Same thing with the essential oil of the plant. But when you dry an herb, when you dry a flower, and then we get into the realm of herbology, which has been used, you know, for, as I say, 5,000 years minimum, probably more. What's missing from that dried plant that we use to address things in herbology is the essential oil. So essential oil is a really funny term because it's not oily, like you think of oil like olive oil or almond oil. No. Essential oils are the steam distilled life force of the plant that the Egyptians, it seems, from from excavations that they were the first to discover how to distill essential oil with steam, low heat, and evoke the essential oil out of the plant material. If you're working with lavender, then you're distilling the flowers. If you're working with pine or cedar wood, you're working with the needles. If you're working with vetiver, you're working with the root. If you're working with frankincense, you're working with the sap. Whatever is holding the aromatic compounds of that plant is what you distill in a steam distillery. It's kind of like a giant double boiler. And I go to the farms of Dr. Gary Young, where he builds his own distilleries, and just watch that process where, the plant material is loaded on the dock, it's put into the distillery, the steam, it's a whole art and science, the art and science of distilling. It's just amazing. And then you go down to the basement where you begin to see the drip, drip, drip of this incredible substance, the life force of the plant, the essential oil, which in Egyptian days was more precious than gold. It was buried with the pharaohs, and when the grave robbers came, they more often than not would steal the essential oils in the alabaster vases, big vases sealed with wax that were in the room. What do you call that? The pharaoh room. When King Tut's tomb was opened, for instance, they took the essential oil that was in the tomb, that was in the alabaster jug. They took it to Cairo University and they tested it, and the molecules, the compounds, the bits and pieces that make up the personality of that essential oil was still intact after 4,000 years. So sometimes people ask, well, what's the life span of an essential oil? And I answer, give or take 4,000 years if it's not exposed to high heat. That's its only enemy. High heat will destroy the delicate compounds, the bits and pieces that make up the personality of an essential oil. And like for lavender, there's 400 different constituents. Each one does a different job. And, maybe one goes into the bloodstream when you apply it topically. It immediately penetrates the skin. It's circulating throughout the blood. It's circulating in the lymph within seconds of application, looking for its receptor sites, looking for where it's needed. You can Google receptor sites. It's such an interesting way that cells find where they're needed, whether it's hormonal, this, that, and the other. And it's a lock and key type situation. And so, let's say you put lavender on, you've got 400 different possibilities. Each compound does a different thing. That's why lavender is called the Swiss Army knife of essential oil. It's great for sleep. It's great for cleaning wounds. It's great for emotional balance. It's the first thing I would put on if anything happened to me, physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual. I would grab my lavender because it is so wide acting. When in doubt, grab lavender. So the citruses are the only essential oils that are not steam distilled. Well, no, there's also absolutes like jasmine, which you can't distill. There's not enough oil that comes out, so you have to mix them in fatty oil so the essential oil leaches out into the fatty oil. Then you put that into your bottle, and that has a shelf life. It's not 4,000 years because fatty oils get rancid. So things like jasmine, for instance, are absolutes. Otherwise, the citruses, guess where the essential oil of a citrus abides? I bet you everybody knows that. It's in the skin. And that's why it's so important that your company distills the organic fruit of lemon or orange or whatever beautiful citrus is. Now, if you want to Google citruses, which are pressed from the rind of a citrus fruit, Google limonene, limonene. Every single citrus essential oil is filled with limonene. They are limonene rich. and just Google limonene and cancer, and you will see studies out the wazoo, double blind, of the incredible potentiality of limonene to address the whole cancer issue. So that's a wonderful thing to look up. And I tell you, every glass of water that I drink, I make jugs of water, and I fill up my glass bottles that I take with me during the day. And every single jug has at least 3-4 drops of lemon essential oil in it. And I drink that, which is so good for your lymph. It's so good for your circulation. It's so cleansing. And most importantly, why I love it is it's limonene rich. And why not live a lifestyle where we don't attract those conditions that we definitely do not want to attract? And lemon is your friend. Just, you know, inexpensive essential oil and so powerful. So basically, I think that answers the question of what are essential oils. They definitely, one other thing I want to mention about essential oils is they're not only chemically active, like I was talking about all the different compounds, sesquiterpenes and aldehydes and all the different bits and pieces that have different properties, but they're also electromagnetic frequencies. So they are also energy medicine as well as plant medicine. Does that make sense? You've heard of electromagnetic frequency. Einstein talked about everything has a frequency. Everything is energy. The only difference between anything is velocity. If you slowed me down, I could be a rock. If you speeded up the velocity of a rock, it could be a person. So everything is made up of electromagnetic frequency, and essential oils can affect our mind-body system simply by the very high frequencies that it contains. Essential oils contain the highest measured frequencies of anything in the kingdom. Anything in the kingdom so far that's been subjected to electromagnetic frequency testing. It used to be that rose essential oil had the highest electromagnetic frequency of 320 megahertz. And that was called the frequency of unconditional love, which is why, you know, rose, anything with rose in it. I use a blend called Joy because it's an inexpensive way to get rose. Rose takes 6,000 pounds of rose petals in the distillery that have to be collected in the morning, I kid you not, while the early morning dew is upon the petals. I am not kidding you. And then taken to the distillery and distilled immediately, not cured on the bay like some of them are. 6,000 pounds of rose petals. Guess what? 1 cup of the essential oil of rose. Very high price, but not as high as Melissa. Melissa's even harder. It's 60,000 pounds of plant material. And Melissa is just our very humble lemon balm that probably most of you have in your garden. But oh my goodness, what a high electromagnetic frequency and what a beautiful oil. The oil of angels, it's called. So remember, when you're depressed, when you're feeling your life force needs a boost, when you're feeling like, oh gosh, I just can't handle this anymore and need some support, don't forget that essential oils are also support to your emotions, both by inhaling them. Inhaling, that's called aromatherapy, when you inhale an essential oil, either by putting a drop on the palms of your hands, rubbing your hands together, cupping them over your nose, and breathing deeply, really deeply. Really getting it in. Why? Because the olfactory system is our only sense that's directly connected to the brain. Pretty amazing, but it's true. It's connected to the back brain, the limbic brain. You can Google limbic, L-I-M-B-I-C. That's that reptilian brain where we hold memory, mood, emotion, the fight or flight brain. the back of our head. That's why, massaging right around that whole occiput region where the neck meets the head is so good, because we hold so much stress there. And just inhaling an essential oil immediately, within seconds, affects the, part of the brain where we're stressing out anyway. And it brings immediate, I like a diffuser. I always have a diffuser in my house, and not a diffuser that works with heat. Some people say, I have a candle, and I light the candle, and then there's a little thing where I put some water, and then I drip my essential oils in the water. No. Heat is the only enemy of a pure essential oil. It will degenerate all those complex compounds. You want a plug-in diffuser, and I use an electromagnetic one. I think, you use it with water, and it puts out the essential oils in your air. It cleans the air of all kinds of contaminants, and it also allows you to breathe in whatever it is you want, whatever influence you want to breathe in. You want to come home and breathe in lavender, you're going to feel so relaxed and calm. Do you want to breathe in something with the pine oils in it, eucalyptuses, so that your lungs and you just feel more oxygenated and you can take in more air? If you want to, there's so many different possibilities of how to use essential oils through inhalation. Another way to use essential oils are topically, where you just apply them right on the skin. There's only a few essential oils that are what we call warming, hot, and you don't want to, cinnamon, for instance, clove. These are hot oils. Thyme, eucalyptus, mountain savory, a blend that I use all the time called Thieves. These are kind of warming essential oils. So it's best to make a little test first, maybe in the crook of your elbow, that sensitive skin, and see if that feels like a reddening. In that case, dilute your essential oil with some fatty oil, like coconut oil or olive oil or something like that. So the other way to use topical is you can make, I make my facial cream with frankincense essential oil. I figure if it's good enough to preserve the mummies, it's good enough to preserve my skin on my face. So I love frankincense in my body and face lotions. I want to just talk a little bit about how important it is, if we're using pure essential oils, how important it is that we really take a look at what products we're using in our life, and especially when you're facing a situation like the symptoms that come from scleroderma, which are so debilitating in so many ways. You really do not want to be adding toxins to your body, and I know all of you know this. You want to eat pure food, you want to drink more water, you want to get rid of chemical products above the sink and below the sink. The products that we use on our hair, in our mouth, on our skin, the products that we use to clean our house and our bathtub and our toilet, all of these products, the products that we use to clean our laundry with, the products we use to clean our floor with, etc. It is absolutely imperative when you're dealing with a situation like scleroderma or any of the autoimmune situations or any of the millions of debilitating symptoms that come, you don't want to add more toxicity into your system. I can't stress that enough. I would say the foundations of health are drink more water, and drink more water. That's the first triangle. And of course, I always say add lemon to that, and you'll be doing yourself a huge boost of a favor. And then eat pure food. get rid of any of the processed foods that we choose because it's easy. You know, I'm sorry, I'm going to say get rid of the microwave because it's convenient, and just take a few more seconds and boil your water or whatever. Google health concerns of microwaves and see if you think you want to keep it in your kitchen. Do the research of what foods are the best for you. The foods that are best for you are alkaline. Alkaline. If you have not yet studied the pH of your blood, that's one of the foundations of health, is really take a look at your food. And if your food is acidic, coffee, stress, all these things are acidic foods. Actually, stress is not a food, but stress is like the #1 contributor to an overacid condition, which creates inflammation. Acidity creates mucus. Mucus creates inflammation, and inflammation creates pain and all the different symptoms. So when you want to go into the root of your well-being, drink more water, focus on getting a more alkaline pH of your blood, and you know, be good to your digestive system. Take enzymes. Eat fermented food if you can. Do cleansing. You know, follow every single season. I recommend doing a light cleanse, whether it's, and some people say, you know, one of the easiest things to do is just fast on liquids 1 day a week. You'd be surprised at how happy your body's going to be and how much happier your joints are going to be when you start getting rid of the inflammation and you give your body a chance to cleanse itself of the excess toxicity, especially in your liver. And that's a whole nother topic, you know, and I don't have time to get into that one, but it's important to cleanse your colon and your liver. And take probiotics, friendly bacteria, whether it's with fermented food or whether it's with a good supplement, and take enzymes to help break down your food, and eat smaller portions and eat clean food. And have some portion of raw food if you can, like a salad or whatever. I don't believe you need to go all raw, but it's important to get really good superfoods, super nutrition. If you can, you know, get into juicing once a day, it'd be awesome. If you can get into wheatgrass juice maybe once a day if you can. If not, every once in a while. And really have influences on a daily basis like essential oils, because they're the same. They're cleansing influences. They help the body cleanse itself from toxicity. And that's why when you're using essential oils, you always need to drink more water. All right. I think I've been on my soapbox sufficient for all of that. It's very important. And then the other foundation of our well-being is our emotional well-being, our emotional balance. You know, whatever it is that we need to be able to look at the glass half full instead of half empty. And that's another area where essential oils triumph. As I was saying, just inhaling an essential oil immediately helps create a more positive attitude. But there's lots of other things too: going out, taking a walk, listening to music, stopping, doing nothing, relaxing, whatever it is that you need to do for emotional balance. And then whatever you want to call it, spiritual connection, quiet time, where you make some time for you to just connect with what's keeping you alive, whatever you're calling it, and have that time of connection. These are all, I don't know how many I've used, four legs of the chair. And essential oils for me is a great, big, huge one. A lot of times people ask me, well, what essential oil should I use? And it's very, very important that you choose an essential oil that is pure, not an essential oil that is adulterated or extended in order to keep the price point down, which is the case with oils that you find in your health food store. There is no way you can have an essential oil of lavender in a 15 ml bottle for $7 that is extended with some other usually lab-created constituents, or in the case of lavender, it's often extended with a hybrid lavender called lavandin. And this is very, very dangerous. When I start talking to you about, oh yeah, popping a pure essential oil into a capsule and take it internally, which is another way to use essential oils internally, I'm talking about finding the essential oil that has been tested by the system called AFNOR in France. It's a French thing, Association Française, whatever. And each constituent has a particular percentile. If it doesn't reach that percentile, it does not get the grade A listing, and you cannot use it like they do in France. Seriously, they give you prescriptions with essential oils in France. Here, it's still considered good smelling soap or something like that, like, you know, it's chemical stuff that you put in your laundry detergent to make it smell better. No, a pure essential oil can be used the way we're talking about for circulation, for connective tissue, for GI issues, for calming, for relaxing, and you will get the job done because the molecules are intact. So it's very important. I use Young Living essential oils. I'm very proud of that since 1994, I believe. Yes, 1994. And I do a lot of different practices. I do the raindrop technique on the table. I do emotional release on the table. I do a stress release thing called neuroauricular technique on the table with essential oils. So I use them all the time with my clients who come, and they want to have an idea of what would be good for them for X, Y, or Z. I make programs for them. I help them order what they need. I help them use what they need until they're getting the results that they want and they start feeling more comfortable to use them on your own. The worst thing is to get essential oils and then leave them on the shelf. These things are gifts. They're gifts from the creation, and they are so powerful. You really want to use them. So make sure your essential oils are unadulterated, uncut, free from chemicals, pesticides, heavy metals. You know what our labeling laws are like in the United States? A label can say 100% pure lavender. And guess how much lavender has to be in that bottle? 5%. And you don't have to say what the other 95% is. That's the labeling laws in the United States of America. So like many other areas of our life, supplements, so many other areas, we, the consumer, have to do our due diligence and choose appropriately for what we want to accomplish. Okay? The medicinal grade oils, they cost a little more, but they're going to be safe, they're going to be effective, they're going to be unadulterated, they're going to be chemical free.
Thank you so much, Joan. That's information that I think that people don't realize when they're choosing the proper oils to buy.
Yes, it's very important. I'll give you an example. When you're looking up lavender in the medical dictionary, and once you start using the oils, you get this little essential oil pocket reference, 7th edition. When you look up lavender, it basically says it's really fabulous for burns. You know, my experience is better than aloe vera. I mean, I have lavender in my kitchen because of it, of how effective it is with burns. But if you got a lavender from the health food store that was cut with lavandin or even 95% lavandin, that would contain a compound called camphor. And if you put that on a burn, it's going to make the burn worse. true lavender, Lavandula augustifolia is what it's called, the true lavender that's bottled under the name lavender, and it should say Lavandula augustifolia, because hybrid lavender is something completely different, a different Latin name. See? So you do have to be careful about that, because sometimes in the health food store, you're going to get something that's called lavender, but it's not going to be lavender. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. But, you know,
well,
everything that you're saying is so important. And for those that want to know more, they can always go to your website or give a call as well to you if they have any questions, correct?
Yes, I would say one of the best ways is to email me at Joan Apter, Joan, A, P as in Peter, T as in Tom, ER, at earthlink.net. And send me your question. That way I'll be able to answer you with a lot of information. I also have a website, Apter, A-P-T-E-R, aromatherapy.com. And I think that's probably the two best ways to do it.
Okay, great, great.
So do you have some questions about specific systems that you'd like to talk about? Which essential oils would be good for warming the body, or which ones for circulation, or so on and so forth?
Yes, actually, I wanted to just talk about pain. We experience pain in our skin, our joints, our hands, and I know the lavenders, they're very soothing. But is there any specific oils that are used for pain and for the skin, the external portion of the skin? I was always told that when you're going to put on a cream, you should do it with an oil to help penetrate the first dermis level of the skin. Is that true?
You should do it with a fatty oil, are you saying?
Any oil, any oil.
Well, for instance, I just went to the dermatologist, and the dermatologist took a slice of something to biopsy, and so that left an open wound on my arm. So I looked at that open wound, and I said, well, I don't really want to apply lavender directly on that open wound. I want to spray my lavender on there. So I made a little spray, because at that point, you don't want to use it directly topically. It's too delicate. And there's times where you don't want to put the oil directly on your skin. Now, if it's unbroken skin and you put lavender directly on your skin, it's going to penetrate immediately. Like I said before, it's going to go into the lymph, into the bloodstream within seconds of application. It's going to go where it's needed. If it's not needed, it passes out through the body. It doesn't get stuck in the liver and so on like allopathic medicines do, and it causes no harm. Does that answer the question?
It does, but still, for pain, like, is there a specific oil that's known to help?
Oh, yeah. You know, I'm going to focus on the oils that are in this starter kit that I use all the time, and the blend is called Pain Away. It's spelled P-A-N-A-W-A-Y, because the FDA doesn't allow you to say Pain Away, because that's a claim. But Panaway has some incredible essential oils for pain. One of the most effective is called a helichrysum. Helichrysum is worth its weight in gold. I love the blends that has helichrysum in it, because again, helichrysum, it's a little straw flower from Turkey. It's very expensive. But in a blend like Panaway, that's a tissue regenerator, pain reliever, sharp pain, dull pain, you know, sciatica, whatever. It also has wintergreen in it, which is another oil which is specific for soothing and helping with bringing inflammation into balance. Clove is a very warming essential oil, you know, when you're talking about joint pain and just that feeling of a warming oil, that's clove. And peppermint. And peppermint It used to be that peppermint was the first oil you would think about to bring down and balance your circulatory system, especially if it was feeling inflamed. Now there's another oil that's just as good and perhaps even better from Ecuador called Copaiba, Copa, C-O-P-A-I-B-A. That's another oil that's in the starter kit, and that's another one which is perfect for when you're feeling that pain. So wintergreen, helichrysum, clove, peppermint, that's already made up in a blend, which I totally recommend. There's another one that's called Aroma Seas, already made up in a blend, and those are the muscle, more like addressing muscle discomfort, like basil, marjoram, lavender, peppermint, and cypress. That's a beautiful blend I would have for when you're feeling like pain. But if you just had Pain Away and peppermint and Copaiba, you'd be good to go, and those are all in the starter kit.
Now, what about,
I would say those are your top three.
Yeah, I know peppermint's really good. I've heard that. What about, I heard that sandalwood and frankincense were good for scleroderma patients. Can you expand on that a little bit?
And for what domain are they good for? For applying for skin or for emotional, spiritual connection?
Oh, for skin.
Yes. Well, they're beautiful oils for skin. Imagine that the mummies were preserved by dipping the cotton or whatever you call it, that gauze, in frankincense, spikenard, sandalwood, oils like this, and then wrapping the body. Imagine how long those bodies remained preserved. So those oils are very protective for the skin. Sandalwood, frankincense, and they're also very good for the compound, the constituent in there called sesquiterpenes, which is the compound that oxygenates the pineal pituitary, the third eye. So they've always been used for prayer and meditation. But applying them, they're gentle. You can apply them right on the skin. There's nothing warming about sandalwood or frankincense, and they've been known to really help when applied topically.
Yeah. Now, I've heard. That's what I heard. I've invested money into the chakra oils, and I find that they are very soothing for me. They help to bring balance to me emotionally, especially. Do you have anything to say about the chakra oils?
Well, anytime you're sitting down, one of my favorite quotes is from one of the French, because the French are really the ones who rediscovered the medicinal applications of essential oils. They kind of went missing from the Middle Ages until World War I, when the French rediscovered essential oils for pain on the battlefield and so on. But his name is Dr. Daniel Penuel, and he said, essential oils are the greatest enhancer of human intention. So if you're sitting down and you're focusing on bringing all your energy centers, your chakras, and really focusing and applying some oils for that, and focusing and applying some oils for the throat, applying some oils for the, you know what I mean? It's a beautiful, beautiful protocol, and it's definitely going to have some positive effect for you.
Yeah, I really do like the essential oils and the affirmations that accompany it.
Exactly.
We spoke about pain. We spoke about skin and muscles. What about anything for the GI? I always heard peppermint was good for the GI. And I know now that when you go to the gastroenterologist, they want to give you peppermint pills, which I think is kind of funny because it doesn't really work good with people with reflux. Can you expand anything on, what's good for the GI?
Yeah, the digestive oils. Well, you're absolutely right that peppermint is one of the first ones that you would think of. There's also a blend called Digive, and that has a lot of the essential oils for your whole digestive system. It's constipation, heartburn, bloating, pressure, stuffed feeling, gas. And Digest contains tarragon, ginger, peppermint, juniper, fennel, anise, patchouli, and lemongrass. So I would say, as well as the peppermint, the Digest would probably be a good choice for you. And then cleansing. Don't forget to take your probiotics, a really good probiotic supplement. Don't forget to take your enzymes. Don't forget to drink more water. Don't forget to focus on alkalizing your pH. You can do that with the addition of lemon in your water. That's very alkalizing. I think minerals are very important for your digestive system. A lot of our digestive problems, it seems, are mineral deficiencies. So I use something called Mineral Essence, and it's something it's a liquid, and you just put it in your juice or whatever and drink it up. It also contains lemon, cinnamon, and peppermint, and those are oils that all help with digestive.
So, based on all of this information, which, oh my God, it's so overwhelming, but it's just wonderful. I can't wait to try some new stuff. What's the best way to administer it? I mean, I know you spoke about how you get it through breathing and obviously on the skin and oral, but what do you think? What do you think? Does it depend on the oil or the person? Well,
basically, there's 3 ways you use them. So you think, should I, what's the best way for me? Aromatically, with the oils between my palms, rubbing my palms and inhaling, or putting them in a diffuser, or topically, put 2 to 3 drops of essential oil on whatever area of the skin and massage it in. And if it needs to be diluted, because it's a warming oil, then just dilute it with a little olive oil or whatever. And then the third way is internally. Now, this is only possible if you are 100% satisfied that your company has essential oil. Like, for instance, the company I use, it says for internal use. The FDA has made a very clear-cut thing that you can only say your essential oil is either aromatic use, topical use, or internal use, not all of them. Now, it's kind of silly, but that's the way the FDA is rolling right now, because there are essential oils that are good in all 3 domains, aromatically, topically, and internally. But Young Living basically made a whole line that is called the Vitality line of essential oils that are safe to take internally, that have passed the FDA, purity standard. Okay? So that's the third way, is to take them internally. If I had problems with my GI tract, I'd probably be putting 2-3 drops of an essential oil like peppermint or Digest in a gelatin capsule that you can get at the health food store and swallow it with water. I'd probably be doing that 3 times a day. Or maybe I'd add a little peppermint to my water when I'm drinking, or maybe something while I'm cooking, maybe, So those are the 3 ways: either rub it on, inhale, or take it internally.
Very good.
And even though the bottle might say internal use, that doesn't mean that essential oil, when you look it up in the book that I was talking about, Essential Oils Pocket Reference, it'll say, oh yeah, it's good for all 3, or it's good for 2 out of 3. You know what I mean? But the FDA is making the rules, and we're following them.
Okay. All right. Well, Mary Beth, do you have any questions for Joan?
Yeah. Is my microphone on? Just make it.
You're on.
Yeah.
I had it muted, so I didn't want to do this wrong. So I was asking Joan earlier before the call about the uses of that frankincense oil, but many of the patients that I read on inspire.com on our website, they talk about using these essential oils, but I'm always confused as to what you would does it need to be diluted? Can you use it right from the bottle? How would you dilute it? Those kinds of questions, and they get really confused. And the one that I was talking about was the frankincense oil for healing digital ulcers that I see frequently people talk about. Using it straight from the bottle, or should you test it on your skin first? How do you use the oil?
Well, remember I was talking about when in doubt, use the crook of the elbow test?
Okay.
Because frankincense, for instance, I'd be very surprised if you had any kind of reaction to frankincense. It's a very, it's not at all warming. It's very safe. So what would I do if I wanted to put frankincense on my elbow or on my wrist? I would just put some in the palm of my hand, 2 drops. Put 2 drops in the palm of my hand and just rub it right on my elbow, or rub it right around my wrist, or rub it right around my neck, or rub it right on my shoulders. You know, and then I might rub my hands together and inhale it. You know, I might put some right around my belly, put some right on my hands, and just rub it all around my belly like the dijive.
Yeah, but
Now,
I'm sorry, Mary Beth. I just want to interject. So, I get digital ulcers all the time, and I am so afraid to take an oil and like put it on a Q-tip and put it on my ulcer. I don't know if how I would handle that as a patient. You know, like I can understand their question. You know, do you dilute it? What do you do? Because you're putting it on an open wound.
Yeah.
Oh, you said use the spray? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, well, I sometimes I put it on an open wound. I put lavender on directly. But, you know, this was a situation where it wasn't a cut. It was a possible, you know, a biopsy can come back benign or not benign. So I was looking at this wound as I want to address any kind of naughty cells that might be lurking. You see what I mean? Because this was really to see if there was a malignancy, right?
Yeah.
So I sprayed because I wanted to keep it very, very light. Now, if it was a cut, I would put that lavender on absolutely directly. I would put it, you know, I'd even put a drop right on the wound. First of all, lavender helps heal the wound really, really fast. But for your ulcer, I would put lavender on directly. I would put maybe a drop on my finger and then rub it on location. Lavender's very gentle. I've hardly ever seen any reason to dilute it, except in the case that I was talking about. Another case where it was a kitten, and the kitten had conjunctivitis. And my friend said, I just got this kitten from the pound, and she's in this cage because she has to be quarantined because she has conjunctivitis. And I was at her holiday party. So I went to my car and I got my lavender spray that I always have in my car. And I went back to her and I said, well, can I just try something with the lavender spray? And she said, sure. So the little kitty was looking up on the bottom of the cage and looking up. And I was at the top of the cage and I was just spraying. So the water was just coming down and it just went into her eyes, you know, just like a mist. And I did that 3 times while I was at the party. She would look up, and I would spray down, and the little molecule. And the next day, the gal called me, and she said, guess what, Joan? I said, what? She said, no more conjunctivitis. It cleared up. So that was when you needed a very light application of lavender, because it's a kitten, and, you know, they can hardly take, you know, their nervous system is from another planet. Does that make sense?
Sure.
But for you, I would feel totally comfortable to take a drop and put it right on the ulcer.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Now let me tell you something. If by any reason you feel like, oh, that's warming, you just take some oil and pour it on the area and then wipe it off with a clean towel, and that will pick up the essential oils and dilute it for you. In other words, if you want to get rid of an essential oil, use fatty oil. Don't use water.
Okay, very good. Okay, so Mary Beth, I didn't mean to cut you off because I know we're over our time. So I'm going to stop asking questions and let you take over.
And I would like to give my contact information one more time before we sign off because it's already 3.
Okay.
Is that all right? Can I do that?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It's Joan Apter, A, P as in Peter, T as in Tom, E-R, at earthlink.net. And the website is apteraromatherapy.com. Email me. Let me know your question. I'll email you back and send you information. And if you're interested in getting started, let me know and I'll send you that information too.
Very good. That's great. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so Mary Beth, if you don't have any more questions, I think we should end the call because we're definitely over time, and Joan has offered her continuing support through her email or web.
Yes, let's do that. And Joan, you're an amazing speaker. I have totally enjoyed listening to you and learning from you. And I hope that there'll be some tidbits that I could share with, I try to open up our heads to thinking more than just medicine that the doctor prescribes. And this is just the kind of thing that people like to hear, and they like to try different things. And so we want to keep our doors open to that kind of thinking. So thank you so much.
No, you're so welcome. I enjoyed very much.
Yes, thank you so much.
Jan, I think we're done. What's our next call? Is in October?
October, yes, we will. We'll have another. And if anybody has any suggestions on what they want to hear about, please let Mary Beth or myself know. Appreciate you, Joan, again, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.